An order of elite loyal veterans who would watch over guardsmen regiments to ensure they didn't start fingering cats or start building little thrones made of like frog skulls or some
cats?
shit.
Alright class, settle down and let me tell you a story. I'm hungover right now, or I'm still probably drunk. So for tonight, we decided to check in with an Aussie for some Warhammer 40K lore. Every time the subject comes up, Commissars almost always form part of the conversation. But before we check them out, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, the whole notification button thing, and help us out with the algo. So here we go. Check out. What exactly are Commissars? Because they seem to have been inspired by political officers from communist-based armies, and their objective was to enforce the party ideals or the leadership's ideals within the common soldiers. Whether or not political officers can actually execute these soldiers on the spot is a matter up for debate, but these people definitely can. Don't we check them out?
G'day guys and gal, we all need a bit of motivation in life, someone to push us out of our comfort zone and help us reach our full potential, someone to put their hand on your shoulder, look at you and say, if you don't fix your Emperor damn bayonet and charge that Tau railgun in the next 5 seconds, I will shove this gun so far up your ass that you'll be puking bolt shells out for the rest of your short, painful life. You know, riveting stuff. In seriousness, there's more to Commissars than just shooting their subordinates in the back of their heads for cowardice, or because they talk smack, or
Here's the thing, I remember this game based on Mario Puzo's The Godfather, aptly named The Godfather. And one of the minigames is that you're supposed to extort money from shopkeepers or business owners. And there's this meter, right? You're supposed to intimidate them by beating them up or destroying their property or their goods. But there's this meter that if you go too far, they're going to fight back. So here's the thing, right? It's either death by Commissar or death by Tyrannid. And, well, death by Bolter or death by the Commissar seem the better option. So how long can they actually keep this up? Alright, for example, Space Marine 2. Okay, you're a guardsman. Either you get ripped apart or you get shot at the back of the head, or well, you get shot in the face by a Commissar. It seems like an obvious choice.
Because the Commissar is bored. They aren't just high-ranking guardsmen. The Commissariat is a completely separate body that operates outside the chain of command, meaning in some situations they have absolute authority over everyone, and in others they are just there to look pretty.
In 18th century or 19th century Spain, they had the Walloon Guards. They served as royal guards and they were recruited from abroad. They were entirely separate and distinct from the regular army. And the reason for that is so they wouldn't sympathize with the local population in case of an uprising. I think we talked about this before. So, in other words, they would side with the leadership every time stuff goes down. They can't even speak Spanish, or they don't even speak the local language by design. So they wouldn't intermingle or wouldn't feel any sympathy at all towards the local population, just in case they have to turn against them. Anyways.
Regardless, the Commissars are an interesting bunch and are definitely worth the next 10 minutes of your time. Today we'll go over Commissars, how they're chosen and trained, what their purpose is, and how far their authority extends, before looking at some of the most famous examples of Commissars. Let's get into it. Before we get into how a Commissar is put together, where the fuck did they come from? And whose idea was it to start kablamming wavering troops? Well, in the early days of the Great Crusade, before Horace G.
The leadership. Almost always the leadership. In the Second World War, the tagline by the party in Russia was "Die for Russia, not one step backward."
Gutted the Emperor's tits and ruined everything, guardsmen weren't very regimented. There was the
I swear that dog needs to shut up.
Imperial Army, and they were effective, but as long as
Shut up! We're keeping this in. I'm not editing this out.
They could kill the enemy, they weren't particularly standardized. During this time, some of the messy regiments started experimenting with discipline masters. No, that's not slang for BDSM dominatrixes. These veterans would join a regiment and maintain discipline whilst ensuring the practice of the imperial truth. Any soldier that was seen as being a coward, a traitor, or just a
Wait, there we go. Imperial truth. So their job was to keep up, quote-unquote, the leadership or the party's ideals.
tool would find their head removed from their body by the discipline master's electro scythes. Yeah, these guys didn't fuck around. They would even employ the use of eagles to maintain watch on their forces. When the heresy broke out, around 40 to 50% of the Imperial army joined Horus and drank the Chaos Kool-Aid. Their discipline masters were either killed or in some cases fell alongside them, probably to Slaanesh. Many regiments that remained loyalists did so thanks to the influence of a disciplined master, who was able to pull them out in time. When the heresy ended, the Imperial army was split up into various sub-factions to prevent any one man from holding too much power. The Commissariat, inspired by the disciplined masters, was also formed. An order of elite loyal veterans who would watch over guardsmen regiments to ensure they didn't start fingering cats or start building little thrones made of like frog skulls
Fingering cats?
Shit. The Commissariat has not changed much in the past 10,000 years. Its responsibilities have grown to also include maintaining regimental morale and discipline no matter what, as well as, ironically, ensuring their regiment praised the Emperor as a god, something the original discipline masters were tasked with battling against. A Commissar's authority can extend quite far, as they aren't a part of the command structure. Although they are designed to act as advisors and role models, if they deem it necessary, they can get very involved with the workings of a regiment. If needed, they can straight up blow the brains out of the commanding officer of the regiment and take command. They have been known to lead entire armies on rare occasions, such as when Commissar Yarrick took command of the Steel Legion, or Commissar Gaunt taking over the Tanith First and Only. A Commissar can't just do whatever they want though. If they just start shooting the men around them for a laugh, they will either get shot down themselves or restrained. They will then face a trial by the Commissariat and likely severely punished. There was one Commissar who lost his shit.
So they don't exactly hold absolute power because absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the men can actually turn against them. I mean, one of those jokes that always comes up is how the enlisted men would frag officers. Well, that's a tidbit from Vietnam. But if you guys are a fan of the show Peaky Blinders, they made several jokes about killing officers.
And had a mental breakdown. He randomly began executing the guardsmen around him and got tackled. As his punishment, he was stripped of rank and title and pumped full of combat stims while having his brain rewired. He was then used as slave muscle by Inquisitor Amberly Vale. In a similar vein, if a commissar is overzealous with his executions and punishments, yet doesn't break the official rules, it's very common for that commissar to find themselves the victim of friendly fire in the heat of battle.
There we go.
Commissar Kane specifically teaches his students to show restraint and mercy as a commissar for this very reason. In theory, a commissar can even override and execute a lord commander of an entire army. Although unless the reason was very fucking good, they will cop a massive spanking afterwards. Whilst the Commissar's authority is absolute over the Imperial Army forces, they have zero authority over the Mechanicus, Adeptus Sororitas, or Adeptus Astartes, despite the fact that they will sometimes be attached to an Astartes chapter for a time. Likewise, those Imperial sub-factions have no authority over a Commissar, although it's probably a pretty good idea to do what a Space Marine tells you. So how does one become a Commissar? After all, each Commissar is supposed to be an unbreakable, unwavering icon of Imperial authority and strength. It wouldn't be great for morale if the Commissars were the ones running away like cowards. To explain this, there exists the Schola Progenium, which is like a college for the children of elite Imperial citizens. Maybe the family is rich, maybe they have rich connections, maybe they are the child of an Imperial commander. You get the picture. On some rare occasions, low-born children are taken into the Schola if they are especially brilliant, or in Commissar Kane's situation, both these parents died in battle and were war heroes, so the orphaned Kane was taken in by the Schola as a thanks to his parents' sacrifice. From there, each student in the Schola is assigned to whatever sub-branch fits them best. This could be the Minitorum, the Administratum, Elite Stormtroopers, Junior Inquisitors, or the Commissariat. There are other potential options as well, but you know, fuck it, who cares about those? From there, the wannabe commissar becomes a cadet and is tutored by a fully fledged commissar. They will often experience numerous battles and life or death situations before eventually being inducted as a real life commissar, or you know, more likely they'll just die.
Yep.
If a commissar cadet shows fear or
More
cowardice
likely
on the battlefield, it instantly disqualifies them, and by disqualify, I mean they get shot in the brain. This is pretty rare though. Cadets are very zealous, having been raised and taught by the best from childhood. They often fight harder and better than elite veteran guardsmen.
Speaking
After
of
all,
Kool-Aid,
a cadet will have received years
they've
of
drunk
sword
it the
fighting,
most.
firearms,
They've consumed
tactics,
the
and
most
war training
Kool-Aid
from the best in the Imperium before they turn 18. So it's no wonder why they all seem to be gigachads. From here, commissars can climb the rank to Colonel Commissar, Lord Commissar, even a Commissar Captain, but all these promotions are superficial and don't really change their level of authority. They're more so just ways to help confuse guardsmen under their care if a Commissar does have to step in to show them how to clean their foreskins. Now let's suss out some of the best and well-known Commissars. First up is my boy Commissar Caiaphas Cain. He'll get his own video soon as I'm currently finishing the final Cain book in the series, but to sum it up, this dude is actually one of the greatest heroes in the entire Imperium. He downplays his antics and success, calls himself a coward, and pretends that he's just lucky. But in reality, this guy is a fucking beast. He's one of the greatest mortal swordsmen in the entire galaxy, able to duel with, taunt, and even outclass a Cornite berserker. He will charge headfirst into the most dangerous situations if that's what must be done to protect those under his command. He has saved billions of lives and even thwarted Abaddon himself, all with just the help of his chainsaw.
Wait, Abaddon, one of Horus's captains?
Massive fucking biceps, even bigger balls, and most importantly of all, his ever-reliable aide Jurgen, who conveniently happens to be a blank. Commissar Sebastian Yarrick is considered to be the greatest commissar to ever live, leading the Imperium to victory over the Orcs during the Second and Third Wars of Armageddon. He was so impressive that the leader of the Orcs, an Orc so powerful that he is about to become a Krork, which are just as strong if not stronger than Primarchs, chose him as his arch rival. He didn't choose any of the Black Templars he had fought against, he didn't even choose the Space Wolf who cut his head.
Oh, okay, so he was the guy that got his arm cut off and decided to put on one of the orc augmentations on his arm, and apparently the story... You know what? Let's check him out later. He's in.
Off. Yes, that law exists, and yes, it was dumb, and yes, he got his head glued back on. He chose Yarrick as he saw him as the greatest threat to the Orcs in the entire galaxy. The dude lost his arm and replaced it with an Orc power claw, for fuck's sake. That should be impossible, but for Yarrick it's just a Tuesday. Then there is the most hardcore Commissar, Commissar Ibram Gaunt. Gaunt was given a pretty challenging task from day one. The world of Tanith was taken over by chaos and destroyed, killing every Tanith regiment except his own. From there, he waged a brutal guerrilla war against all manner of enemy, making his small battered regiment feel like an entire Astartes chapter with how much death and suffering they rained upon the enemy. Trust me, Tanith was avenged multiple times over. Pretty sure Khorne has just been jerking his gherkin to Ibram Gaunt for the last little while. I haven't read the Gaunt's Go series yet, but I've heard it's awesome, which to be fair, nearly everything written by Dan Abnett is, but once I do, you bet your ass a chunky video on Gaunt is on its way. Hopefully now you understand my respect and admiration for Commissars. They aren't just trigger-happy sadists that blow their subordinates' brains out for forgetting to head check before merging into a different lane. Although some short-lived Commissars do that, they are bastions of Imperial strength, facing down and overcoming forces that would buckle most men and even Astartes. As long as you aren't a pussy, they'll be the main thing that gets you in and out of battle in one piece. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 will give you access to a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million
and get tits.
boobs.
Patreon.
Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more statistically admirable content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for watching, guys. Now you all know the drill. Please like, share, subscribe, and do the whole notification button thing. It would really help me out with the algo. Now, if you want me to check out other stories, please let me know in the comments. We upload on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard, and we go live on Twitch every Friday and Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. Links of the original videos are down in the description. Please check them out, and class dismissed.